Welcome again on the ride of automatics. We're talking about the advantage of thermostat in your engines today. The advantages of thermostat. What's the number one advantage? The number one advantage of your thermostat in your engine, of the thermostat, the device called thermostat, and one of the things or the myth behind it, it's the most important thing it does is it conserves fuel if it's in your engine. Why did I say it conserves fuel? This might sound like a lecture to you guys, but we need to go on this journey together so that you guys will understand the advantage of this thing. Now, the thermostat, when it's in your engine, when you crank your engine at rest, most especially in the morning, that your car or your engine has been sitting overnight, you crank it at startup at rest. Once this engine cranks, it has to get to a warm-up operating temperature. Assuming you don't have a thermostat, what do you think happened? This engine takes forever to run before your gauge, if you're one of those that looks at your gauge, the gauge has to get to a certain point before your radiator comes on. And now, don't let us forget now, we sometimes remove its thermostat and at the same time direct the fan. But this is another topic on its own. So we're going to be still focused on the thermostat end. When you have its thermostat in your engine and you crank your engine up and it gets to an operating temperature, there's some other devices that we call sensors on your engine. There's a particular sensor on your engine that's called ECT. What is ECT? Means electronic coolant temperature sensor. That's what it stands for. Yeah, you guys will be wondering, what's it talking about? Yeah, of course, I'm talking about your engine. When the engine gets to a certain temperature, this sensor will send a digital signal to the control unit, which is your engine ECU, your engine computer. Once this computer gets this signal, it uses it to determine how the engine will burn fuel. Now, if your thermostat is missing, it takes a long time for the engine to warm up. Sometimes your gauge, you see way below the halfway mark if it's the one that have the mark, and if it's a graduated gauge on your cluster where you have it graduated in centigrade, you will see it from 20, 30, go to about 40 and all the way to 90. And 90 is your operating temperature. When it gets to about 120, that's going to overheating, because 90 will be your operating temperature for most engines that's been produced. Of course, thermostat is rated in different ways depending on the region where the vehicle is located, and the type of engine you have will determine how the thermostat is rated. What do I mean by rating on the thermostat? The operating temperature for the thermostat, where it's supposed to open. Some will open at about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, some will open at 180, some will open at 190, some will open at 210 Fahrenheit. Let's just take the 210 for example. The 210 is the highest you will have, which is the operating temperature for most vehicles. And what happens is when these things open, it sends a signal. The coolant flow, it allows the coolant to flow around in the engine. When it opens, that means that engine has gotten to an operating temperature. Once the thermostat opens, depending on what is rated for. Like I said we're taking 220 for an example. The thermostat open at 210 degrees Fahrenheit. The coolant starts flowing. Definitely, the electronic coolant temperature sensor has picked a signal from this engine that this engine is hot. It sends a signal to the ECU that this engine has reached something we call a closed loop situation. A closed loop situation means the car has gotten to an operating optimum temperature. So reduce the amount of fuel that you are burning. On that note, we're going to park the ride here for today. Until next time.